is there some force on another level that is carrying an AK-47 saying to consciousness, get in that body or I shoot? If the answer to that is yes, then why these things go on in the world is a certain answer. If that answer is no, I suggest it is no, then there's another answer. Why would you? And this is a really big shift in the way we perceive the world. You see, the Bible, I think, talks about a life of 80 years and 10. And we do tend, and I understand that because that's the way we're programmed and encouraged to see it. We do see the period in this reality from what we call birth to what we call death as a life. We see it in isolation. But then is it in isolation? Or is it not in an infinite journey through infinite dimensions and reality and experience, in which we are not created at birth and then disappear at death, but actually we come out of one dimension into another one for a period, then out, and so on. When you see it like that, you see the human experience as, in effect, you live your life and you have an experience, and then you have another experience and another experience, and your life's made up of that. If you kind of went down the pub or whatever, did something, and then you perceive that as, or someone perceived that as your entire life, you'd say, don't be bloody stupid, it's just an experience. I've come down the pub. I'm going home in a minute. You know, what do you mean? What do you mean it's meant? But that's when you look that this birth to death period is life in isolation. That's what you're saying. You're saying that a part of this infinite flow is your life in its entirety. But when you take this version of it, then this birth to death period is, in the greater scheme of eternal experience, the equivalent of that moment where you're in the pub. It's an experience on an eternal journey. So that changes the perspective of so-called physical life dramatically, because now it's just another step on a journey. It's not a journey in itself, or almost. And then therefore you can maybe perceive that experiences that we have within this part of the eternal journey we call a physical life can relate to many other parts of the journey we don't even know about in this physical body. And therefore the experiences we have between what we call birth and death can have a much more profound, a much deeper and reason for being than we can work out from this perspective. So the question rightly comes that you've asked: why would a child come in to be abused? But then again, we don't know the long-term journey of that awareness, or why maybe that experience would come to it, because we don't know what is happening in the journey, or what has happened in the journey before it entered this reality for 3 score years and 10 or whatever. So these questions are basically, you know, on the back burner in a way, waiting for more information. And of course, when we leave this reality, what we call death, and we remove ourselves from the shell, suddenly we'll go, oh, I can see why that happened now. But we can't here, because we're seeing the next turn on the river instead of the whole journey from source to sea. But take someone like Cathy O'Brien. Cathy O'Brien had a horrendous childhood of unbelievable satanic and paedophile abuse and torture in mind control projects. Had a nightmare life right into her 30s till she was helped out of it and what have you. And we still communicate often. And I started to really understand the scale of what went on behind the scenes in terms of Satanism, pedophilia, torture, mind control. Initially, I've done enormous amounts of research since, but initially because of Kathy O'Brien and a book she wrote called Transformation of America. If she had not gone through that abuse and come out to tell the tale, we would be way back down the road in knowing what's going on behind the scenes. So in her case, and there'll be other reasons for different people, I guess, but in her case, or not I guess, there will be, her taking that nightmare has brought to public attention things that we would never have known about otherwise. And it's like in The Matrix, one of the Matrix movies where Neo indicates to the Oracle he wouldn't have made that choice. He wouldn't have made the choice of this or whatever. And the Oracle said, but you've not come here to make a choice. You've already made it. You've come here to understand why you made the choice. And the difficulty is that that which is trying to understand why it made a choice is limited by the lens of the physical body and the body computer system, which allows it to experience this reality. And it's trying to understand a choice made in a state of disembodied consciousness and massively expanded consciousness. That's very difficult. It's like, again, using this analogy, it's like being in a canoe on the river. You can only see the next turn, and you're trying to understand a choice made by something that can see the whole journey from start to finish. I mean, it's very difficult. But the more you expand your awareness, the closer you get to that level which made the choice, the more you start to understand why you made the choice, why you're doing this. And unfortunately, most people, it's changing, but most people are still in a closed-minded state where they will not even begin to understand the choice or even accept they've made one to experience something they don't like.